Harry Kane was dropped from England's World Cup squad after Thomas Tuchel allegedly confronted him in a tunnel, shouting match following a missed chance at training. It wasn't just a tactical decision. It wasn't a fitness rotation. It wasn't the media spinning things out of proportion. This is serious. Nothing like this has ever happened days before a World Cup opener, not with England's all-time second leading goal scorer and current captain. And there's a detail the FA still hasn't confirmed publicly. According to sources close to the England camp, what was said in that exchange was heard by every single player on the training pitch that afternoon. The worst hasn't even come to light yet. Over the next few minutes, you'll understand exactly what happened, why Tuchel made this call, and why this changes absolutely everything for England's chances in the tournament. When something like this explodes days before a World Cup kickoff, it's never just about one missed chance. It's about the entire dressing room, the chain of command, the trust between manager and captain, and whether a squad can stay unified when the biggest moment of their careers is 72 hours away. The behind-the-scenes reality is far worse than what's been released officially. Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, the coaching staff, they all witnessed it unfold. And this didn't happen in a vacuum. There had been tension building between Kane and Tuchel since the manager arrived. Tension nobody was talking about openly until that afternoon on the training ground. It all started with Kane's fitness. When Tuchel took the job, the striker had played only 18 minutes in his club's final warm-up match. Muscle tightness, they called it. Minor, the medical department assured everyone. But privately, sources close to the setup claim Tuchel raised questions about whether Kane was truly sharp enough for the tournament's intensity. Kane felt doubted. The new manager's reputation for high standards and zero tolerance for underperformance was already creating friction in a squad used to Gareth Southgate's gentler approach. Kane, as captain, was supposed to bridge that gap between old and new. Instead, he was becoming the flashpoint. That late afternoon, the training ground near the England base was packed with players running a small-sided game. 10 outfield players per side, nothing official, just a tactical session to sharpen movement and positioning. Kane received the ball 8 yards out, left of goal. The kind of chance he buries in his sleep, as one witness described it. His shot went wide. Not catastrophically, not a terrible miss by normal standards, but wasteful in context, especially for a striker fighting to prove he's tournament ready. The moment the ball went past the post, Tuchel stood up from the touchline. He removed his cap. Kane looked back at the goal, already frustrated with himself. That's when Tuchel waved him over. No smile, no casual arm around the shoulder. Kane jogged across the pitch toward the manager, and what happened next was loud enough that every player stopped. According to those present, Tuchel spoke with intensity, his voice rising, gesturing directly at Kane. The language allegedly crossed a line. The kind of public humiliation that doesn't stay contained in a dressing room. Kane's shoulders tensed, his jaw tightened. He said something back. One of the assistant coaches moved toward them immediately, sensing this was escalating beyond a coaching moment. The other players stopped playing. The entire training ground fell silent. Tuchel turned away and walked back to the bench, leaving Kane standing on the pitch, breathing hard, watching his manager walk away from him. Nobody moved for several seconds. This is serious. Now, this didn't come out of nowhere. The tension had been building for weeks. Tuchel had already established a reputation during his early training sessions. High standards, immediate corrections, no special treatment regardless of reputation or captaincy. Kane, who'd played under Southgate for years and captained England to the Euro 2020 final with a different management style, was struggling with the shift. But more than that, sources close to Kane claimed the striker felt undermined, that Tuchel's public doubts about his fitness were designed to lower expectations or prepare the dressing room for Kane's potential underperformance. Tuchel, on the other hand, reportedly believed Kane wasn't being honest about his physical condition. On one side, you had Jude Bellingham, the young midfield star and reportedly Kane's closest ally in the squad. Bellingham had played alongside Kane in recent qualifiers and had spoken publicly about the captain's leadership. Witnesses claim Bellingham was visibly angry after the tunnel exchange, feeling that Kane had been disrespected. On the other side, there was the coaching staff, defending Tuchel's right to establish non-negotiables immediately, arguing that at a World Cup, there are no sacred cows, not even captains. Declan Rice, the vice-captain, said nothing publicly, but sources indicate he privately signaled this was standard managerial authority, though his hesitation suggested even he wasn't entirely comfortable. And in the middle were players like Ollie Watkins, who watched all of this unfold, knowing that Kane's removal might suddenly hand him the number 9 shirt. Hold on, because the most controversial detail is what happened in the 48 hours after that training session. Within 2 days, Tuchel informed Kane he was being withdrawn from the squad. The official reason: tactical recalibration and prioritizing his preparation for the group stage. The FA released a statement claiming the decision was collaborative and about optimal tournament preparation. But sources close to the camp dispute this entirely. According to information circulating among people familiar with the setup, Tuchel made the call unilaterally. One coaching staff member allegedly texted the medical director with a message that has since circulated: "This doesn't end well." That phrase, those 4 words, tell you everything about how people inside the England setup viewed this moment. And there's another detail that almost nobody has noticed. Audio of the exchange allegedly exists on a staff member's phone. Whether it surfaces what Tuchel's exact words were, what Kane said in response, that recording could completely reshape the entire narrative within days. The dressing room split immediately. Younger players like Jude Bellingham reportedly supported Kane, citing his experience and the strangeness of the timing. Dropping your captain 3 days before facing France, they questioned, sends what message to the rest of the squad? Senior figures like Declan Rice, who'd shared a dressing room with Kane for over 6 years at international level, said little publicly, but privately indicated this was about establishing boundaries. The coaching staff defended Tuchel's authority to make tough calls. The FA maintained its official line. But on social media, it exploded. Fans divided viciously. Some called it an abuse of power, a manager using a World Cup to establish dominance over a veteran player. Others saw it as necessary discipline, an argument that at the highest level, standards are non-negotiable. And if Kane couldn't deliver in training, why should he start in the tournament? The press painted 2 completely different narratives. One side framed it as a mutiny waiting to happen, a manager operating in isolation and fracturing the squad before its most important matches. The other painted Tuchel as ruthlessly decisive, willing to make unpopular calls because he believes in them. Both arguments had weight. Both had supporters. What's certain is that Kane has scored more than 60 goals for England, more than almost any striker in the nation's history. He captained England to a Euro final. For him to be dropped, not injured, not rested, but actively removed, was unprecedented in his international career. Now Thomas Tuchel is caught between two impossible decisions. If he keeps Kane out and Ollie Watkins scores in the opener, the gamble looks visionary, and Tuchel's authority is established from day one. But if Watkins doesn't deliver, if England draws or loses, Kane's absence becomes the story. Every lack of clinical finishing, every missed opportunity gets framed around the captain who was dropped. On the other hand, if Tuchel recalls Kane and brings him back into the squad, it signals that the decision was impulsive or reversible, which undermines everything he was trying to communicate about standards and accountability. The clock is ticking. England faces France in 72 hours. No recall is possible without admitting the original decision was wrong. This is a point of no return. What changes immediately is England's entire striker hierarchy. Ollie Watkins, who'd had an explosive club season but has no World Cup experience, becomes the de facto number 9. A promotion nobody saw coming landed on him in the middle of the biggest tournament of his life. The squad dynamics shift fundamentally. Does the dressing room trust Tuchel, or is he operating in isolation? Are younger players going to buy into a manager who'll drop you publicly for one missed chance, or are they going to resent him? Jude Bellingham's relationship with authority matters now in ways it didn't before. Declan Rice's loyalty is being tested. The medical department is silently blamed for clearing Kane to play despite concerns. And the narrative around England at this World Cup has shifted from "can they win?" to "can they survive their own internal conflict?" This moment, this entire sequence from the missed chance to the squad removal, represents a turning point. If Tuchel was trying to establish control, he's done it at the cost of unity. If he was trying to send a message about standards, the message has been received, but at what cost to the dressing room's emotional stability days before their opener? The weight of what's happened here cannot be overstated. Harry Kane, England's captain, has been publicly humiliated and removed from his country's World Cup squad. That's not a small story. That's a bombshell. And look, this is far from over. This is the information going around so far. But over the next few hours, new details should drip out. That audio recording might surface. More witnesses might speak on record. The FA might be forced to release an official statement clarifying exactly what happened. Any of that could turn this whole story upside down. Things are still unfolding in real time. Over to you. Did Thomas Tuchel remove Harry Kane because the captain wasn't genuinely ready for this tournament? Or did he remove him to send a message that no one, not even the most decorated player in the squad, is above accountability? And is there actually a difference between those two things? Write it down below. And if you don't want to find out about the next bombshell after everyone else, subscribe and turn on notifications right now. Because when this fully blows up over the next 72 hours, when new details leak, when the full picture emerges, you'll want to be the first to know, not the last. But here's what makes this even more complicated. The England squad is now fractured in ways that won't be visible until the matches start. Jude Bellingham has to walk into that dressing room knowing his closest ally has been cast out. Declan Rice, the vice-captain, has to navigate between respecting Tuchel's authority and supporting a teammate he's played alongside for years. Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, Anthony Gordon, they're all watching to see how this plays out, trying to understand what the new rules are under this manager. Jordan Pickford, England's goalkeeper and a senior figure in the setup, reportedly had a quiet word with Tuchel after the removal, sources claim, not in protest but seeking clarity. The atmosphere in the camp has shifted from anticipation to uncertainty. Ollie Watkins is now the focal point of everything. He's the beneficiary of Kane's removal, thrust into a role he never expected at this moment, with the weight of the entire nation suddenly on his shoulders. If Watkins scores against France, if he finds the back of the net in that opening match, Tuchel looks like a tactical genius who saw something nobody else did. But if he doesn't, if England draws or loses, every miss gets framed through the lens of Kane's absence. Watkins knows this. The pressure on him has just become astronomical. Ivan Toney, on the bench as backup, suddenly has genuine prospects of minutes he didn't anticipate. The entire forward line has been reshuffled by one decision, one afternoon, one missed chance. What's happening in France's preparation right now is equally significant. Tuchel's managerial crisis is spreading information through the tournament grapevine. Other nations are watching England tear itself apart before the tournament even begins. There's a vulnerability there now that wasn't there 48 hours ago. Teams smell blood. They sense disunity. And in World Cup football, that's as valuable as a 2-goal lead. The psychological advantage has shifted. England came to this tournament with questions about depth and experience. Now they've got questions about whether their own manager will implode under pressure. The clock is ticking toward that France match. 72 hours. Harry Kane is somewhere, processing the fact that his final World Cup moment was a public humiliation from his own manager. Thomas Tuchel is somewhere, either absolutely certain he made the right call or beginning to question whether he's just destroyed his own tournament before it started. Jude Bellingham is preparing to play a World Cup with his captain benched. Declan Rice is trying to stabilize a dressing room that's coming apart at the seams. This is the moment that defines everything. Not the goals, not the victories, but this. The decision made in anger, the consequence that ripples through an entire squad, the precedent that's been set about who's expendable and who's not. In 72 hours, England plays France. And everyone watching will be asking one question. Did Tuchel just make the bravest managerial call of the tournament? Or did he just blow up his own team before it had a chance to compete? That's where England stands right now. That's the weight hanging over everything that's about to happen. And nobody, not even Tuchel himself, knows which way this falls.